Welcome back to Arise Prime Time, where we offer perspectives on the news and talking points of the day. I'm Constance Ikoku. Rwanda's president says the world failed his country as he marked 30 years since the 1994 genocide that killed around 800,000 people. President Paul Kagame addressed leaders who had gathered in the capital, Kigali, to commemorate the bloodshed. He said Rwanda was completely humbled by the magnitude of the loss and that lessons learned had been engraved in blood. A public vigil was also held to commemorate the 100-day killing spree launched by extremists from the Hutu ethnic group. Here's the story of one man who was left orphaned by the violence in his own words.
As we were a child, a baby, we could not manage to remember what was happening. Just what we know is what we founded in the orphans where we were. Because those soldiers who brought us from dead bodies taken to orphans, before they receive you, they recorded. So that is where I founded, as personally, my story, that I have been in the dead bodies and the soldiers took me to orphans. First of all, I feel very weak and very uncomfortable without confidence, because everywhere I go, they told me you are Hutu, you are sons to Interahamwe.
Well, I have on the line from Kigali, the capital of Rwanda, Janvier Mucho. She is the CEO of Empowering Dreams Foundation. We tried to connect earlier. I think we've got her now. Janvier, can you hear me now?
Absolutely. Yes,
oh, fantastic. Nice to have you on Arise Prime Time.
Thanks for having me.
You survived the genocide. Can you share with us where you were on that day and how you heard about the killings?
Yes, good evening and thanks for having me. Indeed, I was in Rwanda when the genocide happened, and so to spare you with historical background, I will start with after the crash of the presidential plane on the 6th of April, 1994. After the announcement of the dead president, chaos ensued. By the morning of the 7th of April, a stay-home order was issued, and it was around 1 p.m. on the 7th when we heard the presidential guards trying to break into the homes. We were having lunch then. Luckily, the gate gave us a few minutes to hide, and so myself and the two younger siblings of mine, we hid in the ceiling. Older brothers, three of them, and dad, they jumped off the fence and hid outside of the fence. Unfortunately, our cook was found and killed in the kitchen. They vandalized the home and left to the next neighbors. By the time they left, they had already killed more than 20 people in our neighborhood only. Then realizing that the staying home was not safe, the community decided that maybe we should try and go hide at the Red Cross nearby. So on the 8th, we gathered at the Red Cross and camped outside in the tent. But the presidential guards were alerted of our presence there, and they quickly came back as they were getting ready to throw grenades and kill everybody. Some people shouted that there were some foreigners among us, which created confusion and allowed some people to escape. They killed a lot of people and some of us survived. Since then the militia in Interahamwe took over, and but with that came the ability to negotiate with paying a sum of money for your life, and that's how we survived throughout the remainder of the genocide, coupled with men allowing themselves to be part of the neighborhood watch to keep us alive. And so we survived like that for until the almost 100 days when RPF, the Rwanda Patriotic Front Army, captured Kigali. We were then directed to camps for safety, and we stayed there for weeks until we were safe to come back home. As we were returning home, there were bodies scattered around, and so it was time to try and clean up and try to get some sort of normalcy gradually. That's
right.
short how it happened.
So briefly on that day, what was flashing through your mind? Did you think that was a death sentence for you and your family? And how many family members did you lose?
So the immediate family member, also let me start with the first question. As I was myself and the siblings up in the ceiling, we could hear them as they were vandalizing and talking about how they just missed us because they could see that we had been having lunch, and so they just couldn't find us. While we were there, thinking back to that, I don't know whether I was afraid or in denial, because before the genocide, I had never seen a dead person, nor had I lost any family member that I knew of. And so death to me was not something that I had had an experience with. So I was old enough to understand what's happening, but because death had never happened to me, I didn't really understand. I was afraid for sure, but I didn't grasp what was happening. I was afraid for sure.
Okay, so briefly, because we don't have much time, but how have you been able to recover from that traumatic experience? How long did it take you to get here as a normal human being now?
So I wouldn't say that the trauma goes away completely, but it gets better with time. I think time heals, because I wasn't the only one who lost family members. You asked how many did I lose? A total of 26 that I know of immediate family members, but there are others, extended family members, that obviously I am not counting. But because it didn't happen to me alone, there are some people who lost almost everybody or everybody, and then they were left handicapped. So I am lucky to be alive and not handicapped, at least not physically. And so because of it, I guess I had to accept that I couldn't throw myself a pity party when I am not the only one. So looking at others' experiences helped me to put things into perspective.
Janvier Mucho, thank you so much for joining us. Thank you very much.